ENERTIA and REPA jointly present Professor Iyer's talk show, Future of Energy, India Vision 2022, India's first talk show on energy and power. Co-partners MTU On-Site Energy and BS Group, Associate Partner BHEL. Supported by Jindal Power Limited and Patel Engineering Limited. Segment Partner Green Brilliance Energy, a Falcon Media production.
Welcome to the talk show, the Future of Energy, India Vision 2022. This is the ENERTIA show for you on Z Business, and today we have some of the most powerful personality for this episode, which is Future of Clean Coal and Efficient Technologies. On my left is none other than Sri Anil Rajdhan, the former Secretary Power, Government of India, who has brought about reforms in the power sector and has been responsible for furthering the power sector in India. Thank you and welcome, sir, for coming here. And we have on my left Sri D.K. Jain, the Director Technical of NTPC, India's leading power company, almost supplying 65 to 70% of the national power requirements. We have on my right Sri K. Ravi Kumar, and he needs no introduction. He has been a man who brought BHEL up, and BHEL today is at its position because of the excellent effort Sri Ravi Kumar did as the Chairman and Managing Director of BHEL, and today he is also the Managing Director of the private sector company Abhijit Group. We have on our right Rajesh Agarwal. Mr. Rajesh Agarwal is the Chairman and Managing Director of the BS Group. BS Group is into state-of-the-art technologies related to both smart grid and efficient coal and efficient utilization of energy and also renewables. On our left, Mr. T.C. Arora, who was the Director of Toshiba India, was responsible for the growth of Toshiba in India for several years, and he is today the Managing Director of Visa Ecotech Limited, which is into solar energy and successfully implementing solar projects in the country. On my extreme right is Sri R.K. Srivastava. He's also another doyen in the industry who has brought up Kirloskar Brothers Limited in a big way. And welcome, Srivastava sir. Welcome all of you to this show. To begin with, let me fire the first salvo. That the figures show us that today India has 182 gigawatt of power, of which predominantly 65% of that energy comes from the thermal power sector and mainly driven by coal. So let me put this question to Anil Rajdhan sir. Do we see coal remaining the mainstay, and does it remain, and for how long?
Well, I think India has a set of challenges as well as compulsions in the power sector. We've got to take power, that is electricity, to every home. We've got to create employment opportunities. We've got to increase farm output through taking out groundwater and generally improve the quality of life. But the compulsion is that we have to use coal. We are short on natural gas. We've not been able to develop our hydro potential to the full limits, and most of our hydro potential in any case is lying in very sensitive eco zones now. We are moving fast on wind and solar, but these have their compulsions at the moment in view of the cost that is involved in generating them. We've got to provide access as well as affordability to power, which means that coal and clean coal will have a major role to play for some years, at least 2-3 decades to come. Okay, now Mr. Ravi Kumar, may I know from you, sir, how the future technologies like ultra mega supercritical power, especially the supercritical technologies and the ultra supercritical technology, what is the role these have in enhancing our capacity?
You know that the coal present cost cannot be taken as the benchmark. Actually, the coal is going to cost more and more, and availability is also being in question. So definitely there is a necessity to improve the heat rate so that you can get for the same amount of coal, that is coal to wire, if you see, you get more output at the terminal rather than for the same coal input. Of course, material technology is the one that we used 1 chrome 1 moly material for 600, and for 700 degree higher material has to be used. I think research is going on throughout the world for improving the heat rate as much as possible.
So sir, therein comes the question, when we have this discussion of heat rate, what has happened, and we have seen in the last 1 year, and I want to bring this debate here, that we have seen that all this discussion on heat rate, while it exists, we have seen a huge amount of Chinese capacity coming to India, and there is a kind of a situation where in this current plan, we have roughly 40 gigawatt worth of orders already placed on Chinese manufacturers. I would ask DK Jain Saab to throw some light on this kind of situation and the threat. Are the Indian companies geared to compete here, and is a major leader like NTPC going to expand in a competitive environment with, I would say, other technologies?
When we come to discuss the infusion of Chinese technology in India, you have to really look at what are the strengths of the Chinese equipment or the Chinese suppliers. If you look at, one is the pricing, they are cheaper. Second is, they do have some advantage in terms of the faster execution of the project. But are they really suitable for Indian coal, Indian operating and maintenance conditions? Those are the issues which people have not been able to answer yet, because it's been just a few years that the Chinese equipment have been installed. But yes, they have to find solutions if Chinese equipment has to sustain in India. But in NTPC, what we have done is, we have never really forbidden any Chinese equipment manufacturers to quote. We have our own performance standards specified, our own specifications with respect to the maintenance requirements, with respect to the performance levels which have to be achieved, with respect to the quality of equipment which has to be supplied. And somehow they have not really participated in NTPC tenders because of that. I would suggest that we have to have good performance standards, keeping in view the performance levels we require in India, the maintenance requirements and the coal we have in India. With that, if we are able to enforce those requirements, I'm sure the Chinese will have to really modify their designs to suit Indian conditions. Otherwise, I don't see any problem. As it is, 5 different manufacturers set shop in India. With that, the prices have started improving already.
Right. With that, we take a break on this section, and on the other side, we will again further this discussion on the fundamental issues of the threat of, I would say, the Chinese and other manufacturers, because basically we need to bring the cost of equipment down and at the same time provide quality to the country. Just after this short break. Welcome back after the break, and let us take the questions further. So in this scenario, I would again push that question off to Mr. T. Sarona, who had been heading Toshiba in the past. What's the scene? It looks a little scary. Scary that we have so much of orders already placed, and in this plant, almost like there is not much order placed on, let's say, an Indian private sector party.
See, when we planned our expansion, we thought about large plants, we thought about ultra mega, we thought of bulk orders. We invited foreign investors to put up their shops here. I fully support what Mr. Jain just said, that if they follow the norms, qualification, performance standards, we are not stopping them. But if you see the results, most of the projects which the Chinese have taken, they have gone to the private sectors who have compromised on the qualification and specification standards, which NTPC did not. The second thing I would say, that while many manufacturers were not putting up the shops here, there were domestic price preference given to the BHEL. Why can't we give the same thing to Indian manufacturers who put up the shops here?
And just get Razdan Saab's view on this issue, that why not the same type of pricing advantage be extended to Indian manufacturers and players in the private sector, sir?
See, Professor, I am somehow very clear in my mind that we had to scale up the 11th plan capacity addition program. We had a very good manufacturer, BHEL, but we needed somebody else to compete with them also. The best can only do better if they have competition. So that was one aspect. The other is, well, yes, today we have 5 or 6 players, thanks to that policy, who come on the scene, and they're up with the world-class equipment probably in India and supercritical technology. But there was going to be a time gap between the time they set up shop and by the time BHEL expands, which was going to be the 11th plan. So we needed in this plan at least a technology supplier to meet this demand. And I can share with you today, now post Durban, that I had a fear utmost in my mind that at some stage, particularly if our economy goes a little slow, we'll have pressures from these Western economies asking India to shut shop on coal-fired stations. So we may have a window only of 5, 10, 15 years at the most to build as much as we can. Yes. So we've got to provide electricity to our people. Yes, but now that the capacities are coming up, we must do everything to protect and give preference to the domestic manufacturers.
I will first go to Sri R.K. Srivastava. It was an interesting case because in the balance of plant, we have seen that Indian company has excelled, other not only BHL, but I would like to say that here is Kirloskar Brothers. So let me know from Srivastava Saab how Kirloskar Brothers, almost all the ultra mega projects, I believe that all the major pumping applications and orders have been placed on you in spite of severe competition from Chinese.
The first thing is as Mr. Jain has told correctly, the performance wise we are much better. I see in circulating water pumps and large pumps, the efficiency difference is there 8 to 10 point. Now 8 to 10 point difference is very high, and conservation of energy also very important when you are generating power. Whatever power you save, that is equivalent to what you generate. So I think that is very important, one thing on performance. Another thing is we are here to give continuous service to all plants because we are having a local presence. So operation and maintenance services we can give much better. Now today as a Indian manufacturers, we have very clearly got prepared, not only supercritical but ultra supercritical. So we are earlier we were doing maximum of 500 megawatts. Now today we are prepared to do in nuclear as well as in thermal up to 1000 megawatt.
May I ask Mr. Rajesh Agarwal here that how does clean, efficient coal related technology play a role in ensuring efficient generation of power?
So currently if you see, the India market is predominantly dependent on coal to generate power. Most 65% of the power generation is happening through coal. If you see, all the mining which is being done in India is mostly surface mining and open cast mining. We need to bring in new technologies to improve the productivity of the mining. India having a huge resources of 255 billion. If you see, if we do the way surface mining is being done, we can't take more than 40 to 50% of the coal. We need to work on long wall mining capabilities to improve the productivity of the mining. Then there are countries like Spain, Czech Republic, countries like Russia who has worked on various technology on the coal side. So we need to work with technology partners and bring in efficient technology which can help improve the coal level. So like currently if you see, India uses only 20% of the wash coal. Balance is all used directly. India has a huge high ash coal currently. So we need to bring in more washing technology, and before it is being used, we should ensure that the coal is being washed so that the consumption is reduced and the carbon emission is again reduced drastically. India really need to proactively work on the technology side, one way by bringing in ultra mega generation capabilities which will reduce the consumption of coal. On the other hand, bringing in mining technologies and also clean tech technologies to reduce the consumption.
May I start with Mr. Anil Razan on the issue of the Chinese threat that we have seen. We have seen that supercritical equipment, they need a certain heat rate, and the heat rates have been guaranteed on paper, but we see that performance of some of those plants are already faltering. What is your view, sir, on this issue?
Well, I'm sure those who have bought those plants have obviously gone number one on least cost alternatives, but it is imperative that they ask for performance also, and they would have got some guarantees from the suppliers. And I think the Chinese also would not be interested only in one-time supplies, but I think the times to come, and that was part of my strategy also, we want to create India as the hub for supercritical technology, and our people would be giving Chinese a good run for their money, as it is the local manufacturers have the advantage of good maintenance. I think the Chinese would have to provide all the services per se. Now they just can't supply and run away.
एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेते हैं, इस वक्त आपके पास फिर आ रहे हैं हम लेके फ्यूचर ऑफ एनर्जी इंडिया विजन 2022। नमस्कार, हम फिर वापस आए हैं। सो जैन साहब, आपको क्या लगता है कि ये जो सबक्रिटिकल कैपेसिटीज में जो ये पीएलएफ की बातें हो रही हैं, क्या ये अभी हम हमारे को कहीं ले जाएंगे कि हम इस तरह के प्लांट यहाँ आए और कुछ बेंचमार्क हम गलत वाले डाल दें कि एनटीपीसी के प्लांट तो 95% पे चल रहे हैं, 96% पे चल रहे हैं, और ये 65% वाले प्लांट भी यहाँ चलेंगे?
देखो, चाइनीज प्लांट्स, यस आई हैव आल्सो हर्ड कि चाइना में 60-65% पे ही चलते हैं। जिन लोगों ने खरीदे हैं उन लोगों ने, I wish and hope they would have checked the maintainability, life of the equipment, mean time between failure of the different equipment components, so that it really works at higher plant load factors demanded in Indian conditions. In NTPC, we specify our requirements very clearly with respect to the life of the plant, with respect to the annual plant load factors expected, with respect to the life of the different components of the equipment, so that we do not have to increase our maintenance cost as such. With Chinese equipment, I hope they would have checked that and they'll ensure that the maintenance cost does not increase, because they have to look at the lifetime cost of the plant also, which is very, very important.
I would like to take this catch off to Ravi Kumarji, because you've seen both the private sector and public sector. Here the Chinese are able to even fund and finance extra commercial borrowings at low rates. And the second challenge that is coming is direct reduction of costs on the capital equipment, which is suiting our low tariff based, I would say, bidding, where the ultra mega biddings we have seen is based on the lowest tariff, the capex is basically bringing the tariff down. And this may not be the real scene, because the performance of those power plants are not known for the next 20 years, 25 years. So what is your view, sir, on such purchases?
No, actually, there are two things which is naturally helping the indigenous industry. One is the devaluation of the rupee. Actually, rupee was about 45 rupees, it is about 53 rupees right now. So there is an advantage definitely to indigenous manufacturers who are putting in domestic manufacturing. And secondly, the government is also thinking of putting a custom duty on the imported equipments. So definitely these things will protect the domestic industry. If you see, the pricing is lower, basically, they give standard equipments, whereas in India, every project is designed as per the site conditions. Ultimately, it should have, as Professor Iyer has told, it must have a good efficiency, and also it should operate for longer years. So that will only stand in the long term. So I think the domestic manufacturers, if they concentrate on quality and cycle time reduction, they can have an edge over Chinese manufacturers in near term.
I would just like to ask a question to Mr. Ravi Kumar. After all, what is this Chinese equipment? Isn't it based on, again, imported technologies? It's not indigenous Chinese technology, is it?
No, it is imported technology only. But when we specified the initial set of supercritical sets, if you see, they have heat rate of 1900 kilocalorie per kg, which is equivalent to subcritical of BHL or other European manufacturers.
We have still not addressed one subject, and that is the low cost financing in the power sector. I would like to put this question across to Rajesh Agarwalji. We have a situation that the Chinese are bringing the funds and flushing it at 5.5%, even lower, 3 or 3.5%. And these are all ECBs, and there is a cap even on ECB within the India market. So how do you think that investors or owners of, or I would say developers in the future would perform in such a situation? Would you still select a Chinese player who offers both finance and this, or would you look at better technology and go for the best things that is available?
So if you see, currently the power sector has a huge requirement for funding. There is a shortage of $40 billion for the growth path what India 11th and 12th year plan already have in place. So definitely there is a need of international financing, while Indian government is opening up a lot of ECB funding, and there is no limit when it comes to power sector, because it's all for the project. Whatever you import equipment, the level of that much money you can take in the form of ECB. If you see the India interest rate growing at 15-16% and the coal pricing going so high, whereas the power pricing is so limited, the chances, the need of money is at a smaller rate of interest. So for private players who have the option of going international funding will definitely look at that. And China is not the only place, even the European market and other markets are also funding ECB. China mostly does when their equipment is purchased. But if you buy any other equipment, then there are other international funding agencies.
I would like to rebut this point here. Arora Saab, isn't it the case that even the Germans, even the Japanese, or even everybody would push up their bankers along with their equipment? And it is normal. It's not only the Chinese, the others are doing the same.
Yeah, they're doing the same, but there's the differences. One is when we talk about the greenhouse gas effects, we talk about efficiency, we talk about Kyoto Protocol, we talk about Durban. That means that we should go for better technologies. Now, if we are going for better technologies, it is also helping us to deplete our resources judicially. Now, we can't be really running out with the coal and then depending on imported coal. So then the people who have invested money in the country, they have invested with a plan that there will be more business here. So we have to look from that angle as well, not only the pricing and benefits given by China and the interest rates in India. Now, I believe that retail business was only fluctuating, but power was stable. But these people have made the power also quite fluctuating.
श्रीवास्तव साहब, इसमें आपका क्या कहना है कि अगर हम आप जैसे मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में जा रहे हैं, इवन वर्किंग कैपिटल अवेलेबल नहीं है इस कंट्री में, 12 से 15% के बीच में हमें मिलती है वर्किंग कैपिटल भी, तो ऐसी परिस्थिति में क्या इंडियन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और क्या हमारे देश की जो बोलते हैं ना अर्थव्यवस्था के अंदर ये काम करने में जो क्षमता है हमारी इंडियन कंपनीज की, क्या ये मैच कर पाएगी जहां वो लो कॉस्ट में कैपिटल मिल रहा है इन लोगों को?
I think there is no way that we cannot continue with the cost reduction. Cost reduction of the equipment has to be there. We have to be competent and we have to go globally. The moment they start coming to India, we may require to go even in China and convince the other operators. So until unless we do that we have a competitive product, cost is reduced and go globally, the problem cannot be solved.
चलो बढ़िया है, श्रीवास्तव साहब बोल रहे हैं कि हमें तो चाइना में जाके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करनी चाहिए। हम इस बात के ऊपर आएंगे with our next episode on renewable energy. Keep watching on Z Business.
Inertia and REPA jointly present Professor Iyer's talk show, Future of Energy, India Vision 2022. India's first talk show on energy and power. Co-partners MTU On-Site Energy and BS Group, Associate Partner BHEL. Supported by Jindal Power Limited and Patel Engineering Limited. Segment Partner Green Brilliance Energy, a Falcon Media Production.